Alongside Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price. As the Volquest positional previews roll on, talking running backs. Jerry Mack, off to the Jacksonville Jaguars in the NFL. In steps Darrell Sims, a young, energetic veteran coach who's had several steps along the way at East Carolina and Louisville and Cincinnati. A guy that's similar to Jerry Mack, but also offers his own flavor with a young group that doesn't have a ton of experience.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing is you've got a new coach who inherits a talented group who have yet to prove it at this level, to be honest with you. And listen, I think Dylan Sampson's done some really good things. You go back to the fourth quarter against Kentucky up there last year, he was dynamic. He played really well in the bowl game. So I think you like what you have with Dylan Sampson. You like the talent behind him. One, AP, when are they going to get healthy? And two, what's their learning curve in the SEC getting under the fire for the first time?
Everybody in this building, as we sit here right now in July, is, they're praying for a quick healing Cam Seldon, just because of the depth. I mean, he doesn't have a ton of experience, but you like what he brings to the table. He's a bigger back, which is something they really like. Explosive, tough to tackle. Got to learn to run a little lower, runs a little high, but at the same time, a guy who's coming off a labrum, who they don't know when we'll be back. Will he be back by the end of August? Will he be back in 2 weeks into September? A lot of that will depend on how his body heals.
Yeah, and again, everybody says the rehab's going well. He feels good where they're at. It's just, when are you ready for contact? You talk about he doesn't have a lot of experience. He doesn't. He has more experience than Peyton Lewis.
Everybody else combined.
More experience than Deshaun Bishop does.
And Khalifa Keith.
And that's where you are right now at this position. Talented, but really inexperienced with a young quarterback, which is a bit of a challenge, particularly early on. You got to pray that Dylan Sampson stays healthy in fall camp.
Well, you don't know what you have in Peyton Lewis yet, because, I mean, he got here, was,
love his talent,
on the shelf.
What is he?
He was on the shelf. His first go will be fall camp, period. And so we'll see what he brings. We'll see what he's got. Maybe he rockets to the number 2 hole behind Dylan Sampson right away. I would tell you, if the season started right now and Dylan Sampson had lost his helmet, Deshaun Bishop's coming in the game, the former Carnes standout, who's a local product. They really like what he's done, and he is, I think, really bought in. I think he has just kind of put his head down. He's a grinder. He's not all about the fluff. This is a kid that just does what he always has done, which is run the football. He did it from a Pee-wee league right up through Carnes, where he had 4 billion carries, but he didn't take any real hits at Carnes. So, 4 billion carries to me, it doesn't really matter because I don't think he's been hit a lot. So I think he's that guy. And then what's Khalifa Keith and Peyton Lewis do? Does Peyton rocket, like they're hoping? I've called him, I think he's Tennessee's next great running back. I think that's who he is. I think he's that good. That's my hot take in July. But how long is it going to take him to get there? And then Khalifa Keith, another bigger back who seems like he's a touch behind, at this point, Bishop.
Yeah, it feels that way because I think Bishop has been more productive. I think he was a little better in spring practice. Deshaun had a really good spring his first year here, his first spring, and then he got injured last year and was on the shelf all fall and wasn't a part. So this spring was a real jump back into it for him, and he took full advantage of Cam Seldon not being out there and Peyton Lewis not being out there and the limited work for Dylan Sampson. So, he got a bunch of work, and I think that helped him continue to gain confidence in this offense, and be fascinating to see where he is at when we get halfway through fall camp.
We started with Dylan Sampson. Let's end with Dylan Sampson. You can see those black pads wrapped around the concrete pillars back there in the background. I'm pretty sure they're going to take one of those off, and they're going to wrap him in it for fall camp, because Tennessee can ill afford for him to get any kind of dings between now and really NC State.
Well, and that creates a really interesting dynamic and decision for Darrell Sims, Josh Heupel, and Joey Halsley. Because running backs need carries to get used to contact.
Look at Jalen Wright 2 years ago.
Exactly. That was my point. The other thing, too, is Dylan Sampson was a bit frustrated in spring because he didn't get as much work as he wanted. They were very cautious with him. How did they balance that?
Yeah, you have to find a way to balance it.
And that's the challenge that they'll have to go through. He's not going to get a bunch of scrimmage carries. What kind of contact does he get for ball security purposes to get himself ready condition-wise for contact? Because it affected Jalen Wright the first of the year in 22. So how do they balance that will be an interesting storyline with the running backs.
We're 2 days into positional previews. The common theme is inexperience. Inexperience at quarterback. Don't have a lot of playing time. inexperienced at running back. To me, those are the two positions that Tennessee needs the kids to grow up really quick to really kind of be where they want to be in this 2024 season.
Inexperienced, but talented.
No doubt about talent. But they got to still kind of feel their way through it here early. He's Brent Hubbs. I'm Austin Price.